Nice.
I've been lying under that jumping jack for a half an hour and I'm not in the mood for small...
During the golden age of Hollywood, the major studios would go to extreme lengths to protect the pristine heterosexual images of their biggest stars. Behind the glitz, the glamour, and the perfectly staged red carpet romances, a massive web of deception was being spun to hide the true sexual orientations of these actors. To satisfy conservative audiences and dodge ruthless gossip columnists, many gay and bisexual stars were pushed into fake unions known as lavender marriages. These orchestrated relationships were strictly designed to save careers and maintain box office dominance, but they often condemned the stars to a chilling, never-ending performance in real life. Today, we are pulling back the velvet curtain to explore 15 fake lavender marriages and elaborate deceptions that Hollywood used to hide its gay stars. 1. Rock Hudson and Phyllis Gates. Rock Hudson, the perfect embodiment of American masculinity and the ultimate dreamboat of 1950s cinema, walked down the aisle with Phyllis Gates, his own agent's secretary, in 1955. The entire affair reeked of absolute desperation. Universal Studios, which was raking in millions from Hudson's leading man roles, went into a state of sheer panic when tabloids began sniffing around rumors regarding his true sexual orientation. Terrified that these whispers would permanently sink the box office empire they had painstakingly built, studio executives ruthlessly orchestrated this quickie wedding like a military campaign. Phyllis Gates later claimed she was completely naive and had no idea about Hudson's hidden preferences, though Hollywood insiders scoffed at that assertion. The marriage limped along for exactly 3 years before imploding spectacularly in 1958, with Gates filing for divorce citing mental cruelty. Hudson continued to maintain his flawless gentleman facade, discreetly carrying on same-sex relationships behind closed doors until 1985, when his AIDS diagnosis forced the truth onto front pages worldwide, shocking the globe. The marriage saved the actor's career at the time, but condemned him to a chilling, never-ending performance in real life. This entire saga remains a brutal cautionary tale about the price of stardom when authenticity is strictly forbidden. 2. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. When the notoriously sharp-tongued beauty Barbara Stanwyck married the fresh-faced heartthrob Robert Taylor in 1939, Hollywood's rumor mill went into relentless overdrive. Both A-list stars harbored deeply guarded secrets that did not align with the wholesome, pristine images their fans craved. Taylor constantly faced press scrutiny over his overly intimate friendships with male colleagues, while Stanwyck's intense, shadowy relationships with other actresses, particularly Joan Crawford, caused the entire film capital to raise its eyebrows. MGM's omnipotent boss, Louis B. Mayer, was allegedly the puppet master behind this grand theatrical production, aiming to silence the gossip and protect the massive box office draw of both actors. The marriage dragged on for 13 years, producing no children and growing so cold that colleagues often described them as polite roommates rather than passionate lovers. Stanwyck, famously tough on screen, reportedly told friends she was simply doing what was necessary to survive in an industry that punished being different. This union successfully shielded 2 monumental careers, but locked both stars in a gilded cage of their own making, where they were forced to play the hardest roles of their lives, a perfectly normal heterosexual couple for decades. 3. Cary Grant and Barbara Hutton. Cary Grant, the eternal definition of elegance, sophistication, and silver screen charm, married one of the wealthiest heiresses in the world, Barbara Hutton, in 1942. From the very day it was announced, this dazzling union screamed PR stunt to anyone in the know. Prior to this, Grant had been working overtime to dodge journalists scrutinizing his long-term living arrangement with actor Randolph Scott in a bachelor pad, a setup that the press often described using carefully coded language. Meanwhile, Hutton had just emerged from her second disastrous marriage and reportedly welcomed a safe harbor with minimal, intense emotional demands. They stayed together for exactly 3 years, had no children, and publicly admitted their bond was more about comforting companionship than fiery passion. Interestingly, Grant adamantly refused any financial perks from his billionaire wife's massive fortune, insisting on a strict prenuptial agreement, a move that only added fuel to the fire of suspicion regarding the marriage's true nature. After divorcing in 1945, Grant married several more times, using marriage certificates as the perfect shield, The union with Hutton was a masterful diversionary tactic, keeping his career soaring through the golden age while the press was too busy obsessing over his wife's money. 4. Tyrone Power and Annabella. Tyrone Power, a sculpted god of an actor and the primary moneymaker for 20th Century Fox in action-adventure films, married French actress Annabella in 1939 under suffocating pressure from the studio system. As a magnet for millions of female fans globally, Fox executives were absolutely horrified when rumors of Power's same-sex escapades, particularly his mysterious European trips with male lovers, began to leak. Annabella, an older widow with European elegance who desperately needed a solid footing in fiercely competitive Hollywood, quickly became the most perfect smokescreen the studio could find. Together, they projected the image of a priceless, elegant couple, constantly beaming affectionately on magazine covers to soothe the hearts of doubting fans. However, behind the velvet curtains, Power continued his secret relationships with men, without the slightest intention of stopping. The marriage eventually suffered an irreparable fracture as Annabella grew exhausted from sharing her husband with faceless lovers, leading to a messy divorce in 1948. This glamorous facade helped Power maintain his absolute throne at the box office, but proved the bitter truth that even Hollywood's splendor cannot fill the void of a forced romance. 5. Janet Gaynor and Adrian. In 1939, Academy Award-winning actress Janet Gaynor married Adrian, the legendary costume designer who essentially shaped the fashion of all of Hollywood. Together, they orchestrated one of the most false, yet exquisitely elegant plays in elite society. Gaynor, who built a colossal career on her pure, innocent girl-next-door image, had long been quietly maintaining intense same-sex relationships away from the cameras. Meanwhile, Adrian, an openly gay design genius within inner circles who crafted breathtaking silk gowns for Joan Crawford and Greta Garbo, desperately needed a protective layer against the conservative public eye. Their marriage surprised absolutely no one in the know, but successfully fooled the naive media, who hailed it as the dream union of two kindred artistic souls. They adopted a child, shared a magnificent Los Angeles mansion, but slept in separate wings, and frequently hosted lavish parties where the guest list subtly revealed the truth of their real lives. This arrangement was one of Hollywood's most elegant solutions to a ruthless problem. Two great artists weaving a cloak to protect one another, willfully ignoring an industry built entirely on deception. 6. Cole Porter and Linda Lee Thomas. Cole Porter, the musical genius whose romantic melodies defined an entire era of Hollywood and Broadway, entered a marriage with wealthy aristocrat Linda Lee Thomas in 1919. This was not a union forced by studios, but a classic lavender marriage, built voluntarily on a foundation of absolute respect, immense wealth, and astonishing mutual understanding. Porter was a gay man with a bohemian lifestyle, addicted to endless, extravagant partying. Conversely, Linda, deeply scarred by an abusive ex-husband, only craved a sophisticated companion, a sharp intellect, and the preservation of her elite social standing. Over 35 years together, Linda served not just as a legal wife, but as a muse, a fierce protector of his reputation, and the primary financier for Porter's masterpieces. She turned a blind eye and even facilitated his male lovers, provided they were kept discreet and caused no public scandal. When a horrific horseback riding accident crushed Porter's legs, it was Linda who stayed by his side, nursing him through his darkest, most agonizing days. Their marriage is a magnificent testament that sometimes intellectual and soulful harmony can create an anchor far stronger than conventional definitions of true love. 7. Judy Garland and Vincente Minnelli. The 1945 marriage between musical legend Judy Garland and brilliant director Vincente Minnelli remains one of the most fiercely debated and tragically dark chapters in cinematic history. Garland, already physically and mentally drained by an insane work schedule and studio-mandated pills she'd been forced to take since childhood, fell into the suave director's arms on the set of Meet Me in St. Louis. Minnelli, renowned for his impeccable, detail-obsessed aesthetic, had long faced relentless backstage whispers about his gay past in New York. The marriage produced daughter Liza Minnelli, which many fans clung to as proof of genuine love, conveniently forgetting the harsh reality that many lavender marriages utilize children to complete the facade. This alliance shattered completely after 6 years amidst Garland's increasingly severe psychological crises and Minnelli's secret affairs with men. Garland reportedly discovered cruel love letters that destroyed any remaining illusions she held about her husband. Whether born of distorted, genuine love or cold calculation to blind the world, this marriage failed miserably to bring peace to either party. It left behind a legacy forever shrouded in darkness, an unanswered question of just how deeply Hollywood could destroy a soul. 8. Katharine Hepburn and Ludlow Ogden Smith. Long before becoming a rebellious icon of global cinema, Katharine Hepburn made a highly pragmatic, strategic move at age 21. In 1928, she married Ludlow Ogden Smith, an incredibly wealthy businessman from the East Coast elite. Hepburn, famous for her masculine attire, prickly personality, and tight-knit relationships with women, had zero intention of becoming a submissive, traditional wife. She was bold enough to force her husband to change his name to S. Ogden Ludlow simply because she refused to be reduced to the mundane title of Mrs. Smith. This marriage quickly revealed its true nature, a rock-solid financial launchpad and a flawless reputational shield for her budding acting career. Smith, with astounding patience, accepted standing in the shadows, providing financial backing while letting Hepburn fly free to chase her massive ambitions, until they amicably divorced in 1934. Hepburn rarely mentioned this marriage in later interviews, treating it merely as a necessary stepping stone. It is a cold, sharp testament to how early Hollywood elites viewed marriage not as a sacred commitment, but strictly as a strategic contract for survival. 9. Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero, the dashing romantic lead with a trademark mustache, known for his Latin lover roles and later as the iconic Joker, pulled off the greatest magic trick in Hollywood history by adamantly refusing to ever marry. While his peers were frantically plunging into fake lavender marriages to hide themselves, Romero proudly chose lifelong bachelorhood, wielding his charm and radiant smile as ultimate weapons to gracefully dodge press scrutiny for 86 years. Studios relentlessly applied crushing pressure, arranging countless cheap PR dates with the hottest leading ladies of the time, such as Joan Crawford and Barbara Stanwyck. Romero always showed up, looking elegant in expensive suits, smiling flawlessly for the flashbulbs, and then quietly vanishing back into his private world without a single engagement promise. Behind the scenes, he quietly maintained a decades-long relationship with a male partner, so discreet and cautious that even the scandal-hungry film capital couldn't dig up dirt. His smiling refusal to walk down the aisle was the quietest yet most resounding rebellion against the studio system's chokehold. Romero proved a brutal truth. Sometimes, the absolute best lavender marriage is having no marriage at all. 10. Anthony Perkins and Barry Berenson. Anthony Perkins, the star possessing the fragile, haunting beauty of the horror masterpiece Psycho, spent the prime of his life struggling to hide his same-sex relationships under the hawkish gaze of the media and studio pressure. But in 1973, at the age of 41, the world was stunned when he announced his marriage to young female photographer Barry Berenson. Hollywood insiders whispered once again, cynically viewing this as a belated lavender marriage, a desperate attempt to whitewash his image and quell the spreading rumors about his private life. Tragically, this orchestrated play slowly morphed into a genuine, deeply moving attachment. They had 2 sons and fiercely maintained a happy family home, even as Perkins continued to silently battle the sexual demons hidden within him. That agonizing double life ultimately demanded a horrific toll when Perkins was diagnosed with AIDS during an era when the disease carried ultimate stigma. He was forced to keep his illness a total secret until the very end, with only Barry staunchly by his side, holding his hand as he took his final breath in 1992. Their union is a sorrowful ballad, where the lines between a fake survival shield and sacred familial love were tragically blurred by an intensely unforgiving era. 11. Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr, the authoritative veteran actor of the classic detective series Perry Mason, elevated the deceptive art of the lavender marriage to unprecedented, chilling heights. Bypassing the need for a real woman, he fabricated an entire phantom wife and a child who never existed on this earth. In countless brief interviews, Burr would frequently choke up, eyes brimming with tears, as he recounted his tragic marriage to a Scottish actress named Annette Sutherland, who he claimed perished alongside their son in a catastrophic plane crash. This perfectly staged, tear-jerking narrative garnered him immense sympathy from millions of television viewers for decades. Meanwhile, in reality, he was living a peaceful, happy, and entirely secret life with his same-sex partner, Robert Benavides, for over 35 years. The sheer depth of this deception and the level of detail in this ghost story would make even the most hardened Hollywood liars shudder. Burr's strategy operated flawlessly, securing his position as one of the wealthiest stars on the small screen. The truth was only unearthed after his death, proving the insane limits to which stars were forced to go just to protect their right to exist in a deeply toxic era. 12. Gene Acker and Rudolph Valentino. Rewind to the silent film era of 1919, where one of the shortest, strangest, and most darkly comedic marriages in Hollywood history took place between actress Gene Acker and the great silver screen idol Rudolph Valentino. Acker was actually an openly gay woman in the underground scene and a member of an exclusive lesbian actress club. Valentino, a box office magnate dubbed the Latin Lover, was perpetually surrounded by rumors regarding his true sexuality. These two individuals seemingly saw in each other the perfect symbiotic arrangement, a brilliant theatrical play to deflect public scrutiny and blind studio bosses. However, this wonderful arrangement collapsed spectacularly on the very night of the wedding. Acker panicked, changed her mind, and locked Valentino out of their hotel room, flatly refusing to consummate the marriage. This unconsummated, paper-only marriage became a prolonged, satirical joke before they finally took each other to divorce court. Ironically, this loud divorce inadvertently created the exact PR shield and massive attention needed to propel Valentino to the pinnacle of fame, worshipped by millions of crazed female fans. A marriage that died in the womb, yet stands as the clearest proof that love in Hollywood was sometimes nothing more than a clumsy PR stunt under blinding camera flashes. 13. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter, the golden boy with the blonde hair and radiant smile of 1950s Hollywood, became a grandmaster at exploiting the Lavender marriage system without ever actually tying the knot. Warner Brothers molded him into America's ideal boyfriend, constantly launching meticulously scripted fake dating campaigns with a parade of beauties, most notably orchestrating highly publicized, affectionate photo ops with Natalie Wood. Behind the steamy magazine covers and posed smiles, Hunter was quietly maintaining passionate, long-term romantic relationships with other men, including figure skater Ronnie Robertson. He agreed to play the system's game, acting the part of the love-struck beau perfectly for the cameras, but was incredibly shrewd in adamantly rejecting all studio proposals for fake marriages to protect his reputation. This masterful stalling tactic worked so well that it kept him completely safe through the dark golden age, until he gathered the courage to step into the light and proudly tell his life story at age 74 via his autobiography. Hunter is proof that some stars were smart enough to dance with the media wolves without letting themselves be devoured. 14. Danny Kaye and Sylvia Fine. The legendary comedian, singer, and explosive ball of energy Danny Kaye bound his life to writer Sylvia Fine in 1940, creating an unstoppable money-making machine in the entertainment industry. Fine wasn't just a legal wife, she was a razor-sharp manager, a brilliant lyricist, and the true mastermind behind Kaye's entire illustrious career. Yet, in the eyes of many in Hollywood and among critics, this was essentially a marriage that functioned more like a ruthless business partnership than a romantic love affair. The press constantly hunted and pieced together rumors of Kaye's secret same-sex affairs, especially his loud, prolonged alleged romance with the great Laurence Olivier. Despite immense psychological fractures and highly public infidelities from both sides, Kaye and Fine absolutely refused to divorce. Fine provided Kaye with the perfect family facade to silence the public and the brilliant scripts he needed to shine. In return, Kaye gave her the power and fame she so deeply craved. Their marriage was a cruel but highly effective survival contract, where power ambitions and financial interests were elevated far above the truest desires of the heart. 15. William Haynes and Jimmy Shields. William Haynes, one of the biggest box office guarantees of the 1920s, made Hollywood history not through transcendent acting roles, but through his magnificent, courageous refusal. When the absolute power of MGM boss Louis B. Mayer demanded that Haynes enter a Lavender marriage with a pre-selected actress to kill rumors about his sexuality, Haynes looked Mayer dead in the eye and flatly refused. Haynes boldly declared he would rather permanently abandon the glorious silver screen than betray Jimmy Shields, his devoted same-sex partner. The dictatorial Hollywood system knew no mercy. Mayer immediately tore up his contract, blacklisted Haynes from the entire industry, and annihilated his acting career at its absolute peak. Instead of crumbling in bitterness, Haynes single-handedly built a new empire in high-end interior design, becoming the most sought-after decorator by the very stars who had cowardly turned their backs on him. He and Shields lived proudly together for 50 years, sharing a single grave when they passed. Haynes's refusal to accept a deceitful marriage robbed him of cinematic glory, but turned him into an eternal monument of self-respect, proving that honesty always carries a brutally high price that only the bravest dare to pay. These 15 stories reveal the brutal price of fame during Hollywood's most glamorous era, a time when authenticity was often strictly forbidden. The dictatorial studio system frequently orchestrated these lavender marriages like military campaigns, using marriage certificates as flawless reputational shields to protect their massive box office empires. While some of these legends suffered for decades in silent, gilded cages of their own making, others, like William Haynes, defied the system entirely, choosing to permanently abandon the silver screen rather than betray their true partners. Which of these Hollywood deceptions shocked you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into cinematic history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories from behind the scenes.